Hello, it's Lorna Wagner from Maritime UK, and this afternoon I'm joined by Bablu. Hello, Bablu.
Hello, Lorna.
Could I ask you to introduce yourself, to tell us who it is that you work for and what your job title is, please?
Of course. I work for the National Oceanography Centre, and I'm based in Southampton. And my job title is I'm a senior research fellow at the NOC, as we call it.
Excellent, thank you. So our first question is, what drew you to work in the maritime sector?
Okay, well, it was a bit planned and a bit accidental, but the main draws were the kind of chance to contribute to solutions to environmental challenges. We know those are really important nowadays. The opportunity to be of use to society, to do something useful. The kind of chance to work on the big and difficult questions, scientific questions. And I guess a lot of it is about intellectual satisfaction, being able to use maths and physics to understand the natural world. So those are the main reasons, I think.
Great, thank you. And I guess we've sort of answered the next question, but let's do it anyway. So what was your entry pathway? What did you study, and what's been your career pathway so far?
Well, I did science and maths at O-level, GCSE standard, and then follow those subjects up at A-level. So then I did an undergraduate degree in physics. Following that, I did a PhD, Doctor of Philosophy degree, postgraduate degree. I did that part-time while I was still working as a research assistant at Southampton University. So that took a few years. And then after that, I got my first real job, if you like, at Plymouth Marine Laboratory. And I worked there for 8 years, doing all sorts of work in oceanography. And then my final move was to the National Oceanography Centre, where I took up a post doing climate and ocean and climate modelling. And I've been there ever since.
Obviously love what you do.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So can I ask what your career goals are and what your career highlight has been thus far?
Okay, well, I suppose I went into the field wanting to become an expert in climate science and a recognised authority. So I really wanted to learn about climate science and become, a top person in the field. That was my kind of goal. And sort of along with that, I wanted to kind of discover and explain new phenomena that hadn't been discovered before, new to science. And I also wanted to, once I got good enough, I wanted to influence the way that research was done and the kind of questions that we engage with. So those were the sort of the kind of goals. And highlights, I'll just be very quick. I guess some of the papers I've written recently about how heat is moved around in the North Atlantic Ocean, how it relates to the ocean circulation, and how that affects our climate and weather. Those have been kind of the highlights of my career, I'd say.
That's great, thank you. So my next question is, is there a single person that's been the most supportive, the most influential in your career pathway?
Probably I'd have to pick my first boss, Robin Pingree, who was my kind of supervisor boss in Plymouth. So I think under him, I really learned all the aspects of oceanography, like from going to sea, collect data, understanding how to handle the data, how to really observe the world, put together multiple lines of evidence using observations and models and theory, and how to write scientific papers and grant proposals. So a really comprehensive apprenticeship, if you want to call it that.
Absolutely. He sounds like a good person to be working for. So last question then. If you were able to give your 16-year-old self some careers advice, what would that be?
It's a tough one, but my advice would be to think big, and that you're probably capable of much more than you suspect you are. So imagine, if you can, where you're going to be in 5 or 10 years' time, and then plan how you're going to get there. And it won't work out exactly the way you imagined it, but just having the plan, it allows you to figure out what's really important and what doesn't really matter at all. And then you can make decisions on that basis. That would be my advice.
That's great advice. Thank you very much. And thank you for your time this afternoon.